police brutality, the people it affects, and how the entire system should be changed to prevent any other unjustified and unnecessary deaths. Police brutality in the United States is the unwarranted, excessive, and often illegal use of force against civilians by U.S. police officers. Forms of police brutality have ranged from assault and battery to mayhem, torture, and murder. Some broader definitions of police brutality also encompass harassment, including false arrest, intimidation, and verbal abuse, among other forms of mistreatment. Americans of all races, ethnicities, ages, class, and genders have been subject to police brutality. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, for example, poor working class whites expressed frustration over discriminatory policing in northern cities. At this time, Jewish and other immigrants from Southern Eastern Europe also complied against police brutality against their communities. Whereas racism is throughout African Americans and other groups, it is as far from one. Other factors concern police departments, which stress groups' loyalty and show force of approach to an unperceived challenge of police authority. For rookie officers, acceptance, success, and promotion within the department depend upon adopting the attitudes, values, practices of the groups, which historically have been infused with anti-black racism. Police violence has taken a toll on people in mental health. A newly published analysis of police violence and mental health conduct researchers at 3 universities, including the University of Michigan, found that law enforcement encounters lead to increased stress among civilians. Researchers say that police violence, which includes physical, sexual, psychological, or neglectful acts, has been associated with greater odds for distress, suicides, attempts among adult and young across racial and ethnic groups. They also identify 8 factors involving police violence, which it has increasingly been recognized as a public health concern in the United States. Some factors include power of iniquity and state-sanctioned violence. Unlike people who inflict violence against others, police organizations have been empowered to apply force to maintain social and political order. Police culture deteriorates international accountability. The culture upholds a code of silence surrounding the police officer abuse behaviors towards civilians, which allows for police abuse of power can prevent police powers, particularly those from lower ranks, from reporting such abuse to their superior. Perceived racial and class bias. White respondents are at risk of some exposure to police violence, but racial departs are significantly higher among African Americans, Latinos, and other groups. Use of access of weapons. Police officers have a great deal of legal latitude in determining which force to use, even fatal force. The perceived threat of police victimized civilians interacts with police may lead to unique mental health and complications for communities most affected by police violence. Now that we know the police brutality is and the effects that it has on people, we should also ask ourselves, how do we change this? Well, the answer is police reform. This does not mean getting rid of the police, but it means the empowerment of abandonment of which is wrong, corrupt, and satisfactory. Transformation of police departments, their role in relationships in communities require a change in culture, accountability, and training. Police practices, it also requires strong leadership, transparency. Without organized communities, building power will change.